Hey, hello everybody. My name is David Royer, and I'm going to be hosting this webinar. First of all, I want to thank all of you for being on today and taking time out of your schedule. And I want to let you know that this webinar is scheduled to last for approximately 1 hour. It is being recorded, so if the recording should be available by no later than Monday of next week. And this will be sent out to everybody who attended and or signed up for the webinar and was unable to attend. So you are going to be in listen-only mode during this approximately 1 hour. If you do have questions, there's a question box on your screen. Just type in your questions. I will be sure that someone in my staff gets back to you with the answers. So just to give you a little bit of background, back in 2002, I saw a major change in the tax code that would forever affect IRA distribution planning. So I began studying the IRA distribution rollover market in 2002, and I began to build the course, Keys to the IRA Kingdom, and this course was designed to help advisors just like you have the information you need to capture large IRA and 401k rollover accounts. In 2010, I put the entire course, Keys to the IRA Kingdom, online. So that's just a little bit of background. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, this particular class is being sponsored by Insurance WebEx, and that is America's leading source of online educational web classes. The name of my company is DLCA Enterprises, and what we are all about is providing you education and tools that you need to be able to capture your share of the exploding IRA rollover market. And I want to point out what DLC Enterprises is not. We are not a field marketing organization. So anybody can access these tools that I'm about to share with you today and use the information I'm about to share with you today without disrupting any of your current relationships. What DLCA is really about is about how you can sell more annuities, more life insurance, more managed money to the owners of qualified accounts, including IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, SEP plans, TSPs, and all other types of qualified accounts. I'm going to pretty much go over two basic tools that we developed. The first is the Keys to the IRA Kingdom. It is now an online advisor's IRA distribution training course, and it's actually a training system. We've also developed a consumer prospecting book called The Top 10 IRA Mistakes and How to Avoid IRS Tax Traps. And folks, that is an IRA 401k rollover marketing system. It's essentially a seminar in a book format. Now, the question you may be asking yourself is, why would you want to focus your practice on the qualified market? And I'm going to give you a whole lot of answers. Number one, we know that 401k plans have replaced defined benefit pension plans. And this is a good thing, and it's good for this reason. In the past, when everybody had, a defined benefit pension plan, you work 20 years, you retire, you have your retirement party, you get a gold watch, and then you've got an income for the rest of your life. Well, those days are gone, and those plans have been replaced by 401k plans. But the good news is these 401k plans are movable. We have approximately 10,000 boomers that are making IRA 401k rollover decisions every day, and most of these boomers' 401k plans are worth more than the equity in their homes. Over 70% of 401k, 403b, TSP plans allow what is called an in-service rollover, beginning at age 59 and a half, which means they can take this money that may be at risk at that 401k, roll that into a different solution, and still make contributions and enjoy company matching funds. That begins at age 59 and a half. We have 4,000 seniors that are turning 70 and a half every day without a formal distribution plan. And LIMRA estimates that today there's approximately $25 trillion in America's retirement plans. According to LIMRA, the IRA rollover market is expected to increase to $515 billion this year. We're expecting $515 billion to be rolled over in this year in 2018. So getting back to the question, why focus on the qualified market? Ladies and gentlemen, that's where the opportunity is. And I want to say a few more things about why you should focus. I mentioned earlier, defined benefit plans are a thing of the past. They've been replaced by 401ks. So most boomers are going to retire pretty much with their 401k, might be an IRA, personal savings, and Social Security. So Social Security and 401k plans have become the hot buttons for boomers, and boomers will soon represent the majority of the retirement market. So again, getting back to that question, why focus on the qualified market? Ladies and gentlemen, that's where the retirement market is growing. So now I want to share some numbers with you about that growth. And what you're looking at right now is total U.S. retirement assets. And this goes all the way back to 1995 through the end of 2016. As you can see, by the end of 2016, the retirement assets in this country had grown to over $25 trillion. Now, I want to look at IRAs separately. The total IRA assets have grown, if you go back to 2005, from $3.4 trillion, today, 7.9, almost $8 trillion. Do you know what that represents and where that growth is coming from? The majority of this is 401ks, 403bs, TSPs, and other plans where these individuals are taking control of those accounts and rolling them into the more flexible IRA. So the opportunity is not only there, it's growing exponentially. This chart I'm about to share with you shows the trend of numbers of individuals aged 65 and older in the United States. Now, it goes all the way back to 1900, and I know you're not interested in that, but it's also projected through the year 2030. So if we look at where we are today, we've got 10,000 boomers turning 65 every day, making those decisions about what they're going to do with their 401ks, TSPs, 403bs, etc. In less than 10 years, they're going to control the overwhelming wealth of this nation. So I want to point out, this is clearly the biggest event in the history of the financial services industry. Now, what we're going to talk about today is accumulation versus distribution. We're going to focus on distribution. And let me tell you why. The accumulation phase of these plans, IRAs and 401ks, was a very simple phase. Your clients and prospects had only 3 decisions to make. 1, am I eligible to contribute? Number 2, how much can I contribute? And number 3, what do I want to contribute to? Life was very simple. They had 3 decisions to make. But ladies and gentlemen, when they go into the distribution phase and it's time for the IRS to collect their pound of flesh, the Internal Revenue Code is strewn with landmines, and if they make one small mistake, it could cost them over half of their IRA, and I'll explain that shortly. Now, where the qualified money is just as important as how much there is in qualified accounts. And what we learned from the Investment Company Institute, 47% of that $25 trillion is in mutual funds. There's an additional 36% in other securities, 10% is in banks and thrifts, and a mere 8% is in the form of annuity reserves held by insurance companies. And I'll ask you this question. If you had effective techniques, logical techniques, to show your clients why when they go from that accumulation into the distribution phase, why for at least a portion of their money, an insurance company might be the ideal custodian. If you had those techniques, would that increase your IRA rollover business? So if you add the 47% that's in mutual funds and the 36% that's in other securities, what we have learned is that 83% of roughly $25 trillion is one form or another is at risk on Wall Street. And this is what's creating a tremendous opportunity for annuity producers, life producers, and managed money producers. If you've been watching the market for the last 30 days and you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing, it doesn't really have any direction. It's up 400 points, it's down 300 points, it's up 200. There's a lot of people in 401ks today that are very nervous about that, and they're watching their account values going up and down. They're uncomfortable, and I'm going to show you how they can get out of those 401ks, 403bs, etc., and still continue to make contributions and enjoy company matching funds. This is really about how you become the IRA rollover expert in your market area. How do you get in front of qualified prospects that have large IRAs, 401ks, and other types of retirement plans? How do you attract these people to get those large IRA and 401k rollover accounts? And how do you become the expert in-service 401k rollovers after age 59 and a half? This is a huge market. How do you use IRA and 401k rollover opportunities to grow your business? So now we're at today's featured subject. We're going to talk about the top 10 IRA mistakes that consumers make and how you can fix them. These are all found in my book, Top 10 IRA Mistakes. So as I walk through these 10 mistakes, I'm essentially I'm taking you through a book review so that you can see what the consumers are going to read if you decide to use the book Top 10 IRA Mistakes in your marketing efforts. So I'm going to jump right into mistake number 1 in the book, and that's missing a required minimum distribution. See, the first distribution is due by April the 1st, the year after they turn age 70 and a half. All future distributions are due by December 31st of subsequent years. If they, for whatever reason, miss a distribution, that could result in a 50% excise tax. And folks, this is the #1 mistake that's made not only by IRA owners, but by their beneficiaries. So I'm going to walk you through the numbers. Here's an example. Let's say based on the individual's age and the amount of money in their IRA, their required distribution in any given year was $10,000. So they were supposed to take out $10,000 because they're over 70 and a half. If they failed to take out the $10,000 timely, if they failed to take their RMD timely, they're going to wind up paying tax anyhow. And I'm going to estimate with a federal tax and maybe you've got state income tax in your state, let's just call that $3,000 in taxes that are going to be paid. But then the IRS goes right back up to this $10,000, and 1/2 of that becomes an excise tax. So if you add the income tax together with the excise tax, that's $8,000 total tax and penalty. So what just happened? It's very simple. $8,000 goes to the IRS, $2,000 goes to the IRA owner. The IRS just became the senior partner in that distribution. And folks, this is an easy problem to fix. I'm going to jump into mistake #2, and that's not taking advantage of the stretch option. You know, the stretch has been around since 2002, and there's nothing really complicated about it. It's really setting up the beneficiary forms properly. It's really that simple. But I want to give you an example of the horsepower you can get using the stretch option. And so for my example, I'm going to use the Bunker family. And let's say Archie's got $200,000 in his IRA, and I want to show him how the stretch option works. So what we learned is Archie's 65, Edith's 65. They have a daughter, Gloria, age 35, and they have 2 grandchildren, ages 6 and 2. So I asked them this simple question. If there is money left in that account when you are both gone, where do you want that money to go? And here's the answer they gave me. We'd like 50% to go to our daughter, Gloria, to help raise those 2 grandchildren. But, you know, we also want to give a birthday present every year for life to those 2 grandchildren, so we want them to get 25% each. Well, that would use up 100% of what's left over in that IRA when they're gone. So here's how the distributions would work. I'm assuming a 5% rate of return. That may seem a little high today, but remember, the stretch could last as long as 82 years. So if Archie took out only his minimum distributions and lived to his normal life expectancy, he would have withdrawn $177,000. Now we're going to assume Edith survives him by 4 years. No interruption in the income for Edith. If she took only her required distributions, that would total $71,000. Now there's going to be money left over to be passed on to Gloria and the grandchildren. And if Gloria takes only her required minimum distributions after inheriting from her parents, that would pay her over her life expectancy over $265,000. And look at the grandchildren. Even though they got only 25%, they have so much longer life expectancies. Each of them will have over $320,000 and one over $360,000 of income spread out over their lifetimes. So the bottom line is this. A $200,000 IRA at a reasonable rate of return, structured properly, could total over $1.2 million of income over 3 generations. Folks, that's the stretch IRA. I'm going to jump right into mistake #3. This is a big one. And, you know, I'm going to make a statement here. You may or may not disagree with me. I've been in the industry a little bit over 40 years, and I've noticed when an advisor asks a prospect to come in for their first interview, they ask them to bring in their statements. Think about that for a minute. What does that telegraph to that client? What that would say to me as a prospect is, well, you want to take over management of my money. You want to know how much money I have. You want to know where it is, and you want to move it, and you want to manage it. That would scare me. Try this. It doesn't matter how large their accounts are. Ask them to bring in their beneficiary forms because, folks, this is where the sale is made, and this is where most of the problems are found, in the beneficiary form. Now, I want to point out, we just talked about the stretch. Only designated beneficiaries, and that's an IRS term, can stretch these distributions over their individual life expectancies. Now, I want to point this out. Only the IRA owner or inheriting spouse can designate a beneficiary for the purpose of stretching the distributions for these non-spousal beneficiaries. So this isn't the type of planning that can be done when Archie and Edith are gone. This is a decision they need to make today, and it's all going to be done on that beneficiary form. So there's 2 ways to set up these non-spousal beneficiaries for the children and grandchildren. One approach is called the two-tier approach, and this is how 99% of these beneficiary forms are, and I'll show you in a minute. The other and better approach is called a one-tier approach. Now, knowing the difference between these two approaches is really going to be critical for your client's success. So I'm going to go through the two-tier approach first. This is the way I said 99% of beneficiary forms are set up using a two-tier approach. So we have the IRA owner and their spouse. They take their distributions. And then let's say they have two children. That's tier number one of non-spousal beneficiaries. And then one of these children has two grandchildren. So the idea is the money is going to pass from the IRA owner to the spouse, to these two children, and ultimately to the two grandchildren. Well, that's not really what's going to happen. Here's what's really going to happen. Those grandchildren are going to be disinherited. Because remember what I said earlier, only the IRA owner or inheriting spouse can designate a beneficiary for the purpose of stretching the distributions over their life expectancies. So I'm going to go now to the one-tier approach, and this is the way they should be set up. And here's where your opportunity is. So here we have Archie and Edith, the IRA owner and spouse, and when they're gone, the two children are going to inherit just like they planned, but at the same time, and on that same one tier of non-spousal beneficiaries, the grandchildren inherit at the very same time, maybe in smaller percentages, but they have to inherit at the same time. The reason is only the owner and the spouse can designate these beneficiaries and allowing them to take the stretched distributions. So the grandchildren are now designated beneficiaries and cannot be disinherited. Okay, so now you have the information. Let's talk about how do you use the information to capture IRA rollover accounts. If you look at most beneficiary forms on qualified accounts, I don't care if it's at the bank, if it's on Wall Street, if it's in a 401k, 403b, IRA, it makes no difference. Almost 100% of them are set up the same way. Spouse is the primary, and the children as contingent, and the grandchildren are excluded. So I'm going to give you one question. Please write this down because this is going to open up your clients and your prospects thinking, and it's going to show them that you're giving them expert professional advice. Ask them this question and say it this way. You know, there's really nothing wrong with the way your current advisor has set up your beneficiary form. As a matter of fact, it's the most common way it's set up. It goes from the IRA owner to the spouse, and when the spouse dies, it passes on to the children. It's a mistake. Are you intentionally disinheriting your grandchildren? And when you ask that question, believe me, they will be thinking. So how do you prove this to them? It's really simple. You run two stretch IRA illustrations. The first one, the way their current beneficiary form set up, the children only as contingent. Then you run a second one where the children and grandchildren are both contingent beneficiaries, so we're not disinheriting those grandchildren. So I'm just going to show you an example. This is just a summary slide. We have a male 65, female 65. They have a child age 35. They have, in this case, I'm going to use two grandchildren ages 11 and 14. The amount of the IRA is $200,000. Now, here's how it looks if they make the child or children 100% contingent beneficiaries. The owner, in this case, Archie, he'll take out his $177,000. At his death, Edith will continue to withdraw that money 4 years longer, a total of $34,000. And then that one child, what they inherit spread over their life expectancy at 5% will pay out $584,000. So the total RMDs or stretched distributions are $797,000. Now, we're going to have the same example where the child now is only going to get 60% and the grandchildren are going to get 20% each. That would use up 100% of the account. So now, makes no difference for Archie and Edith. Archie gets his $177,000, Edith gets her $34,000, assuming she lives 4 years longer. The child gets a little bit less, $350,000. But look where we've compensated. Look at these huge amounts that are going to these grandchildren. They get a check every year for the rest of their lives, totaling $221,000 and $244,000. Total RMDs jumped from $797,000 up here when we only used the child as beneficiary, but we made it one tier and moved the grandchildren as contingent beneficiaries. The RMDs jumped to over $1 million. Folks, that's $231,000 almost $232,000 more payout from that same IRA. Now, at this point in the sales process, one thing I assure you that Archie and Edith are going to want to know is, okay, how do we fix these beneficiaries? And folks, it's at that moment you are in a position to capture that account. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to change beneficiaries. They're likely to want you to do it because you've proven to them that you're the expert, and this is your opportunity to capture that rollover account. Folks, we're going to jump into mistake number 4, and that's not establishing separate accounts. This is a little known fact, and maybe a lot of you already are aware of this, but it's rarely brought up in the sales process. So why is this separate account rule so important? Well, here's why. Beneficiaries have different ages. And because they have different ages, they have different life expectancies. So for example, a 12-year-old who inherits is going to have a life expectancy or stretch payout period of 70.8 years. A 45-year-old that inherits, non-spousal beneficiary, is going to have to take their payments over a much shorter period, 38.8 years. So without separate accounts, both are going to receive income based on that shortest life expectancy. So in other words, this 12-year-old that would have been able to spread the distributions and defer taxes for 70 years is going to have to use this shorter life expectancy of 38.8 years because separate accounts were not established. You can find this in IRS Publication 590. So here's an example. Beneficiary, we have a person, single. He passed away. He had $200,000 in his IRA. He had 2 beneficiaries. He had a daughter age 45 and a son age 12. So without separate accounts, here's what will happen. The 45-year-old is going to inherit $100,000 in this case, and he decided to leave $100,000 to his grandson. Now, they're going to have to use that same life expectancy of 38.8 years. That's the life expectancy of the 45-year-old. So over that, the 45-year-old, over that shorter life expectancy of 38.8 years, that $100,000 at a 5% rate of return will pay out $313,000. Now, the grandson, even though he has a much longer life expectancy, is having to use the life expectancy of the mother. So the 12-year-old is going to get the identical payment. Total of all distributions from that $200,000 IRA is $626,000. And when you look at that, hey, that's a pretty good deal. But let me show you what happens when you incorporate separate accounts. Same thing happens. The mother inherits $100,000, the grandson inherits $100,000. But here's where the difference is. Now they get to use their individual life expectancies, 38 years for the mother, 70.8 years for the grandson, because separate accounts were established. So for the 45-year-old mom, it's going to be the same number, $313,000, because nothing changed. We're using that life expectancy of 38.8 years. Here's where the big change is. For the 12-year-old grandson, that same $100,000, instead of stretching out to $313,000, is 3 times that much, $945,000, because instead of using a 38-year life expectancy and deferral period, it's now jumped up to 70.8 years. Total of all distributions, $1.2 million. Folks, that's a difference of $626,000 and $1.2 million, all because somebody knew to establish separate accounts. I'm going to go into mistake number 5, and I'm going to talk about, and that's too much of your IRA at risk. You know, the market's been a little bit crazy lately. It's probably going to get a little bit crazier. Nobody's hoping for that, but I think most people are expecting it. And as I go through this, please do not misunderstand me. Those of you that manage money, those of you that sell any form of securities, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying too much at risk could be a mistake. So, and the reason is if they're going to need income from that IRA, or they want to leave a legacy to their family, risk is the number one thing that can ruin their plans. It's like what happened in the early 2000s, what happened in 2008. It's that kind of risk that changes people's plans. So I'm going to go over 2 very famous quotes with you. And because you're being muted, if you know the answer, if you know the person who I'm quoting, just type it into your question box. First quote, the most powerful force in the universe is compound interest. Who said that? Well, Albert Einstein. Most people know that. Here's a more recent quote. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. And folks, that was legendary investor Warren Buffett, and even Mr. Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway found it very difficult to follow their primary rules in 2008. But I'm going to go back to Albert Einstein, and I want to show you the power of compound interest. And to do this, we're going to take an individual that has $200,000. The year is 2000. They're going to put $100,000 in an equity account. We're going to assume it performs identical to the S&P 500. They're going to put the other $100,000 in a fixed account that's going to compound at 3%. Let's see what happens. Now, again, the year is January the 1st, 2000. Well, we all know the first 3 years, 2000, 2001, the S&P took some very hard hits, and that original $100,000 invested in the S&P is down to $59,000, and here at the fixed account at 3%, it's grown to $109. So what has to happen when you lose money in the market? Well, you need some good market years to get it back, and by golly, it worked. From 2003 through 2007, the market did nothing but grow, and they're back to $99,932, almost where they started. At that fixed account at 3%, they're at 126. Then came the unexpected crash of 2008. The S&P lost over 38% of its value. That 99,000 dropped down to 61, and here in the fixed account, it just continued to grow. Then we had 2 great years of growth. Now we're back to 85,000 in the S&P account, still just steadily growing in the fixed account. Then we had some really good years, and the S&P account not only caught up to the fixed account, it passed it. So at the end of 2017, the $100,000 invested in the S&P account would be worth $182,000, December 31st, 2017. The 3% compounded just a little bit behind at $170,000. So you might look at this, you can make the assumption, well, they'd have been better off in the S&P. Well, for some people, yes, and for some people, no. What about those that plan to retire in the early 2000s when they were losing money? Those that plan to retire around 2007, 2008, and lost almost 40% in their accounts. These people had to delay their retirement plans, rebuild their IRAs and 401ks, and continue to work beyond the time they expected to. And some of them were seeking employment in 2008, where in some states unemployment was close to 20%. So my point is this: blend the accounts. Either one of these accounts could have outperformed the other. That 3% could have averaged 4 or 5%. The S&P could have done better or worse, but if you use 2 accounts, you give them financial agility and you give them true diversity. So now I want to jump into mistake number 6, and that's overpaying fees and loads on IRAs, 401ks, and other retirement accounts. For the sake of time, I'm not going to walk through a lot of subordinate slides to this slide. I'm just going to explain it to you. People that have money in their 401ks, for the most part, are overpaying fees and loads. The same thing in 403bs, and the same thing in most company and government-sponsored plans. They're overpaying, and worse yet, they don't know it. So what I would recommend is this. You know, they may be very comfortable with the fees that they're paying in a particular account, and that's fine. But they owe it to themselves to find out what they're paying. And I'm not just talking about the fees that are shown in a prospectus, but I'm talking about the hidden fees. You know, every time a security is bought or sold inside of a mutual fund, a commission is paid. And guess who's paying that commission? Well, that's being paid by the owner of that mutual fund. Same thing happens sometimes in variable annuities and other types of security accounts. And so my point in this slide is simply this. Your clients owe it to themselves to find out not just what the prospectus says they're paying in fees and loads, but they need to look for those hidden fees and loads as well. I'm going to move right on to mistake number 7, and that's not considering tax-saving strategies. Now, there are 2. One of them is converting your IRA into life insurance and using arbitrage loans to create tax-free income. And the second is the Roth conversion. Again, in the book, I mentioned both thoroughly. But for today, again, for the sake of time, I'm going to talk about the Roth conversion. So here's how this works. From the first day they contributed to their qualified plans, guess what? Uncle Sam became their partner. And the reason is they didn't pay tax on the contribution. The money grew tax deferred, but when they take it out, they're going to pay their normal income tax rate, and that includes, for those states that have state income tax, will be thrown in on top of that. So everything's going fine. You've got money in your 401k and your IRA. You feel financially comfortable. You're celebrating your 70th birthday. You're surrounded by friends and family. Life is good. But 6 months later, guess what happens? Now you're 70 and a half, and you need to begin to take your required minimum distributions. And folks, that's when your partner that you completely forgot about years and years ago when you started contributing to these accounts comes back to you and says, hey, remember our contract? You're 70 and a half. A lot of your IRA is owed to the IRS. I'm your partner. And the unfortunate thing about this relationship is Uncle Sam controls the tax brackets. So that partner could become the senior partner at any time they choose to. So the Roth conversion might be the best solution for a lot of your clients. You pay tax at the time you convert. But Roth owners are not forced to take distributions. There are no longer RMD requirements for the owners. And all future gains and distributions are income tax free. And the laws changed in 2010, and now anybody can convert to a Roth. So my point is this. A small tax bite today could save a fortune in taxes tomorrow, and you literally can fire that unwanted partner by converting to a Roth. And again, the other tax saving strategy that we go over in the book is converting to life insurance and using positive arbitrage loans to create tax-free income. Now I'm going to go into mistake number 8, and on this one I'm going to spend some time because, folks, this is where the opportunity is immediately right now. The mistake is not moving those 401ks, 403bs, TSP plans, and other company and or government-sponsored plans to a more flexible IRA when you retire or turn age 59 and a half. Now, let me just give you an idea about how big this is. At the end of the fourth quarter of 2016, those are the most current numbers I have, there was $4.8 trillion in 401k plans, $905 billion in 403b plans, $467 billion in federal employee retirement system thrift saving plans, TSPs, and another $282 billion in 457 plans. Folks, this is where, and this information came from the Investment Company Institute, and this is where your number one opportunity is. So if you think about this, here's the pure logic of this sales approach. Why do you think people participate in 401ks, 403bs, and TSP plans? There is only one reason, and that is employer matching funds, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about free money. It's the best game in town. I put in $100 and my company puts in 50 or 60. That's a great deal. I'm getting free money. I can afford a little bit of a loss here and there because I'm getting all that free money thrown in on top of mine. But when the contributions stop, either at retirement or for whatever reason, the free money ends, and the only reason that they were ever in these plans to begin with is now gone forever. This is pure logic. So now it's time to get your money out of the plan. Once you lose that free money, company matching funds, these plans become very unattractive. So what should you do with your 401k, 403b, TSP, etc. when you retire or turn age 59 and a half? You have two options. Excuse me. You can leave the funds in the plan, or you can roll the plan to a more flexible IRA. So let's look at both options, and let's walk through this logically. If you leave your money in the plan, this is what you're faced with. The plan guidelines can restrict your access to your money. Your investment options are limited. I've seen 401k plans that had 10 different mutual funds, and that was it. I believe TSP plans now have only 7 different options. You have limited distribution flexibility for the children and grandchildren. The reason is these plans don't offer the stretch option because they don't want to administer it. There is no more free money because you're no longer making contributions, but the risk is still there. And folks, there's a lot of people that are jittery about what's happening in their 401k plans today. Other alternative, you can roll the plan into a more flexible IRA. And now here's what you're faced with. If you do a direct rollover, when they go to their human resources department and say, well, I want to roll money out of my 401k, they'll say, fine, but they're going to withhold 20% for taxes. Not true. If you do a direct rollover, custodian to custodian, that avoids the 20% mandatory withholding. The money continues to grow tax deferred, But now you control where the money is invested, and the entire universe of investment options opens up to them. IRAs offer the Roth conversion. IRAs offer the stretch option. And for those of you that are selling safe money solutions, you can eliminate some, and in some cases, all of the risk. So I highly recommend converting those 401ks, 403bs, TSP plans to either annuities or managed money or life insurance. So here's the opportunity. Most 401k, 403b, TS plans offer mutual funds. The markets are at an all-time high. People are getting jittery about, they're watching their account balances going up and down. They're getting nervous. Same thing we saw in 2007, the prelude to the crash in 2008. In-service transfers to an IRA can protect the principal in a market downturn. So if they're over 59.5, they can do an in-service transfer. In other words, they can take the majority of that money out of risk and put it in a safe place, and they can continue to make contributions, continue to get company matching funds. Folks, it's the best of both worlds. You're protecting the principal, but you're still getting the free money in the form of company matching funds. Folks, 401k and 403b planning can eliminate very costly mistakes for both your clients and for your client's family. And as I said earlier, I think right now, today, particularly what we're seeing in the market currently, there's a lot of jittery money out there. They're looking for a solution. Show them after age 59.5, you can pull this money out or a portion of it out, put it in a safe place, and you still can make contributions, and you can still enjoy company matching funds. Mistake number 9, again, I'm not going to go through a lot of follow-up slides on this one, but it's having too many retirement accounts. Now, don't misunderstand what I said there. It's not having too much money. It's having it in too many places. The average person in this country at retirement is going to have their retirement money on average in 10 different places. This creates a lot of problems. For example, which account do you draw down first and why? Which account do you draw down last and why? Is one account losing as much as another account is making? In other words, are you breaking even? You have all those questions, but here's the big one. Looking at all the mistakes a person can make with one simple IRA, if you've got your money in 10 different places, you can multiply the likelihood that you're going to make at least one of those mistakes by 10 times. All of their qualified money can be put into one simple IRA, and you need a separate account if they're going to have a Roth, and all their non-qualified assets also could be put into one contract, making it easier to manage. And I saved time on that one so I could spend more time on this one, folks. In the book, this is the chapter, mistake number 10, not getting a second opinion. This chapter is designed to drive the consumer back to you to find out what they should do with their IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, etc. And in this chapter, I make a comparison between the medical community and the financial community. So let's start with your health. I'll give you an example. What if you went to your family practitioner and you go there maybe every 6 months or at least once a year? Maybe you just go there when you're not feeling good. And usually they check you out. They look in your ears. They look up your nose. They check your pulse. They weigh you. They ask you how you've been feeling, and they listen to your heart. So let's say everything's been going along fine for a number of years, and all of a sudden you're in there seeing your doctor, and he does that last step. He listens to your heart, and he says, Jim, I don't like what I'm hearing. I think you got a problem with your heart. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to come in my office next Wednesday. I want you to be here at 7 a.m. I want you to stop at the nurse's station on the way out, make that appointment. When you come in at 7 a.m., I'm going to perform open heart surgery. Well, Jim might cringe at the fact that a general practitioner that does not have the skill, the training, or the experience wanting to do open heart surgery. Well, of course, that's not what's going to happen. What Jim's family practitioner is going to say is, Jim, I think I hear something in your heart. I'm going to refer you to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist may refer you to a cardiac surgeon. The system, the referral system in the health community, with all the things that are broken, this system works well. It's designed to get the patient to the expert that has the training, skill, and experience to perform the procedure that needs to be done. Now let's contrast that with your wealth. Oh, and incidentally, getting back to health, one of the big reasons why Jim's general practitioner is happy to make that referral is because he's going to keep Jim as a patient for life, because maybe his referral saved Jim's life. No such referral system exists in the area of your wealth. And the reason I say that is it's difficult for a financial advisor of any type, and I don't care if you sell securities, life insurance, annuities, or all three. It's very difficult to say, because you got an IRA or maybe it's a 401k, I'm going to refer you to somebody that has training and expertise in that area to make sure your beneficiary forms are set up, to make sure everything's working well, and to help you avoid the many mistakes that people make with their retirement plans. Well, you know what's wrong with that whole picture? They're going to lose the account. If they refer them to another advisor, they run the risk of losing the account. So it works very well in the health community, works very poorly when it comes to the financial community. So not getting a second opinion is something I hammer very hard in the book. And in this chapter, it drives them back to you, the trained IRA advisor, to give that all-important second opinion. Folks, a second opinion from a trained IRA advisor can save these families a fortune in taxes, fees, loads, and avoid all of the mistakes that most people are making with their qualified accounts. So that's what we've been talking about, is IRA rollover marketing and IRA rollover training. I built the book, and a lot of people refer to this as a seminar in a book, Top 10 IRA Mistakes and How to Avoid IRS Tax Traps. This book is updated annually. It was last updated in January of this year, so all the information in the book every year will be current. It's been very effective in building relationships with CPAs and other professionals. As a matter of fact, I have bank presidents, I have CPAs, elder law attorneys, trust attorneys. I have many insurance advisors and multitudes of people that are money managers that are using this book to capture IRA rollover accounts. If you want to read more about it, it has its own little website, top10IRAmistakes.com. So folks, this is a prospecting book, and the reason I wrote it is estimated there's $324 billion rolled from plans to IRAs each year. Americans have close to $25 trillion in retirement assets. There are 10,000 boomers that are making these rollover decisions every single day. And folks, this book's designed to convert your IRA prospects into clients, because it's going to help them understand why getting a second opinion from you can save them thousands in IRS penalties, prevent rapid taxation, and reduce excessive fees and loads. At the back of each chapter, something new we've done. We've made the book interactive. There's a page on the front side of the page, and this is up for the beneficiary section. It's in each section where they can write down their notes. They can list their areas of concern. When they flip the page over, they can make notes about anything they want additional information about. So when you give them the book, you point that out to them, that it's interactive. There's places here where you write down your questions, concerns, etc. And when I meet with you next week, I will answer all of your questions. I will address all of your concerns, and I will provide you any additional information that you want. It's very non-threatening. Here's something, here's something that we've done recently. We now are personalizing the book by putting your photo, bio, logo, contact information, any icons that you have right on the back cover. There is a one-time setup charge. This is done by Digital Book Designs out of Missouri. They're one of the best cover designers in the country. They charge me $90 to customize that cover, so I charge you $90. So there's a one-time setup charge for the cover. That's only on the first order. Once we have the cover, we can print as many books as you like. If you are securities licensed, FINRA requires that your securities disclaimer be placed at the bottom of that page. So, and incidentally, probably 75 to 80% of the people that are using my book in prospecting are securities licensed. I've not had a RIA or BD platform do anything other than approve this book for consumer use. We sell these books with the custom covers, and there's another example of the custom cover. I kind of like this one because it's a full body shot, and he's got the NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox at the bottom, A+ credited rating from Better Business Bureau. So we sell these books in cases of 50 with the custom cover, and it's $530.50 a case, and that includes shipping. So when you take the shipping out, you're actually paying right around $9.45, $9.50 per book with the custom cover. And incidentally, the book retails for $19.95 without the custom cover. Now, here's something we did recently, and so far 100% of the people that are using the book right now and ordering books have chosen to do this. we now can do it without my photo on the front, only your photo on the back cover. Now, my creative team came to me with this idea, and I said, you know, you took my face off the back cover. Now you want to take it off the front cover. But you know, it made sense because they showed me two cover proofs, and I'm going to share it with you. So here's Ron's cover with my face on the front cover, his information on the back cover. What I'm going to do now is remove my face from the front cover, and I want you to watch and see how much more attention it attracts to the back cover. Here we go. Now that's what it looks like, removing my face from the front cover. And you notice that attracts a lot more attention to Ron. So let's go back. Let's put me back on that front cover and do it again. Here's with me without the front cover, or not on the front cover, or on the front cover. Now I take my picture off the front cover, and you can see it attracts a lot more attention to you, the advisor. Folks, the complete system includes the top 10 IRA mistakes, a seminar, and a book. Essentially, when you give this to your client, it's as if they went through a seminar. They get the same information. My book will reinforce what you're already telling them. And also, you can take the 10 hours of online IRA distribution training if you want to learn all of this information. And that's my course, Keys to the IRA Kingdom. Again, we launched this nationally in 2004. And to date, we've had approximately 5,000 advisors attend the course. In 2010, when I put it online, that was a real game changer. So you can actually get this information without having to pay for a plane ticket, a hotel room, meals, and a rental car. Folks, the Keys to the IRA Kingdom online course is now on demand. You can learn the secrets of success. You can learn the sales techniques from the comfort of your office or your home. It's a smartphone and iPad compatible. I am your host and trainer throughout the 10 hours of training. So you can now take this course online, on demand, and at your pace. But you'll have access to the online training room 24/7. It's approximately 10 hours of very intense IRA distribution training. And I do go through some of the technicalities that you need to know, but I show you how to use each one in a marketing strategy. Typically within 24 hours of the time that you register, I'm going to show you how to register now. You'll receive an email from my IT department. And when you open up that email, it'll look something like this. You'll see a big link in the middle. That link will take you right into the training room. You type in your username, your password. You can begin training immediately. So after the training material, or all the training materials will be delivered in approximately 5 days after registration. Now you can start the training right away, but the training materials will get there about 5 days later, and that includes IRS Publication 590. It is highlighted, tabbed, and re-indexed. It's the tool you use to prove to your prospects and clients that what you're telling them is absolutely correct. You also receive 74 pages of pre-take and typed notes with all the graphics, all the charts, and all the sales techniques so that you have a permanent record of everything you learned in that course. Now, folks, my course, the online training course, is normally $12.95. Because I have partnered with Insurance WebEx for this webinar, we have a special price for Insurance WebEx. And so everybody on this broadcast, I'm going to show you how you can get a 50% discount, and here's how you do it. Compliments of Insurance WebEx. When you're checking out in my cart, if you type in the promotional code KEYS50, it's got to be all in caps, no spaces, KEYS50. Once you type that in, that'll drop your price down to $647.50. So I'm going to show you how to do this. For those of you that want to register for the course, go to this website, IRAKEYS.com. It's real simple, IRA keys, just like carkeys.com. And when you go to this website, this is what's going to come up. This is my home page. You can get information about the books right over here. But if you see right here in red, it says online course register now. I'm going to show you how to register. Just click on that button. It'll take you right into the course. It'll always say Quantity 1, and you'll notice it's the regular price, $12.95. Here it says enter promo codes on next page. So on this page, all you do is click Add to Cart. When you click Add to Cart, this page will come up, and in this box, right under the blue lettering, in capital letters, you type in KEYS50. Now this step's really important because this is the step I get a lot of calls about. That David, I did that and it didn't change the price. Well, after you type in Keys50, you see this yellow button that says promo code. Click on that promo code. That'll take you to the next page. That'll cut your price in half, drop your checkout amount to $647.50. And folks, from there, it's like any other online shopping cart, just proceed to checkout. I want to thank you all for being on today. If you want additional information about the Keys to the IRA Kingdom online IRA distribution training course, or if you want to know more about the book, Top 10 IRA Mistakes, with your photo, bio, contact information, etc. on the back cover. And incidentally, it says provided by on that left cover. It's small down here. You can't see it. So we're not inferring authorship or co-authorship. It says provided by. You can contact me directly. I'm David F. Royer. Direct line is 214-705-0124. If it's more convenient, you can email me. My email address is david@IRAKeys, just like my website, IRAKeys.com. David@IRAKeys.com. And don't forget, if you want to register for the class today, don't forget the Insurance WebEx discount. Once you start to check out of the cart, in that promo code field, remember to type in capital letters, KEYS50. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being on today. Hope this has been informative. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to call or email. And make it a wonderful day.